Mhm. Welcome to New Realities. I'm Alan Steinfeld, and this program's an ongoing series about the nature of reality and different ways to access other realities. I've been profiling the work of Sue Barnes. She's a medium and someone very in touch with the other side. Sue, let me unmute you and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alan.
We also have a room full of guests who Sue might be reading if they want to be read. But Sue's also coming up. You also have a radio show, an ongoing radio show. Tell us about that, okay?
Okay, my radio show starts this Tuesday at 7 o'clock on the Bold Brave TV network. People can call in and get readings and ask questions about any issue that they're kind of struggling with. So I just want it to be a kind of helpful hour of dealing with using the other side and my intuition to help people with their issues.
Okay. Tell us what you do exactly as a medium. What exactly, for people just tuning in, what does that mean?
Well, I work both as a medium and a psychic. There is a difference between the two. A medium is a person that gets in touch with your loved ones in the spirit world. So when you're going to a medium, you would expect to be able to contact someone. For example, a lot of people who've lost children very much want to connect with them on the other side. And so they'll go to a medium to try to do that. In contrast with a psychic would be answering questions more about should I move home? Should I move to a different city? Should I change my job? Am I going to meet the man of my dreams? You know, those types of questions would be psychic questions.
So mediumship, though, is a lot more flashier than being a psychic, right? I mean, you're
Well, I wouldn't say
deeper.
flashier. You know, I mean, I'm not going to say flashier because there are some people that really only need psychic messages, and there are other people that need mediumistic messages.
Mhm.
All mediums are psychics, but not all psychics are mediums.
All mediums are psychics, but not all psychics are mediums. Okay, I got it.
Correct. Yeah,
All right.
because if explain it, being a psychic is a two-way type of communication. It's between you reading the aura of the individual and their energy. A medium is a three-way type of communication. It's the medium, it's the spirit link, and it's the receiver of the message.
And plus, you're a lot more conscious when you're a psychic. A medium tends
Yeah.
to go unconscious. So, what do you want to do today with us here? Do you want to do some readings on some of the people?
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
okay, let me pull up the gallery view. Let's get some people. Shannon, do you know Shannon? Do you have a question for Sue, Shannon? I'll unmute you. Where are you calling us from, Shannon? Wait, okay, good.
I'm in Paris, France.
Paris, I
Oh,
love.
wow.
Great. And how'd you come upon this call here? How'd you find us?
Well, I was just listening to the REI
Oh,
Mhm.
with
presentation.
Stanley
Yeah,
Krippner.
exactly. Yeah, the dream
Oh,
one. So yeah,
great.
I was listening to that, and then they
Oh,
let me know that
thank you so much for
Susan was
joining us.
on.
Are you open? Are you familiar with this kind of work? Mediumship, channeling, psychics? Do you do that?
Yes, I would say yes.
What do you do exactly? What's your background? Just curious.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Um, yeah. Well, let's see. Uh, I don't know what to
Are you
say
an
anymore.
artist? Are you a
I just,
writer? Are you?
I, well, the my focus in my life has been a lot of moving around with my husband who's military
But
yeah, my background is
all
alternative
right, we'll
medicine.
actually let Sue tell us the rest if you don't mind. Okay. Do you have a particular question, Sue? Do you want to be read by Sue here?
Sure.
Do you have any, Sue? Do you need a question, or you just want to tune in?
I'm trying to tune into
Okay,
her.
you tune in. Go ahead.
Okay, tell me if I'm correct. I feel your parents are still living. Is that correct?
One is and one isn't.
Okay, okay. So I'm getting a mixed signal.
Is she remarried one of the parents that's still alive? Maybe that's what we're picking up on.
No,
Okay.
No,
fine.
I mean, I just, well, I could feel that somebody was alive. I'm not feeling a closeness of her parent coming into my vibrations at the moment. Let me see if I can just feel. They're telling me I believe it's your father's in spirit. Is that correct?
no,
No, it's your mother.
yeah.
Okay.
Picking up
Oh,
on-
hang
Go ahead.
on. I
ahead.
feel that your father misses your mother a lot, though.
Yeah, they were married 53 years, so yeah.
Okay, okay. So that's what I'm feeling on. I'm feeling that your father was missing your mother. Now, I feel your mother was also ill. Is that correct?
Not really, no. It was kind of sudden, but yet she was, she was aged, but she had been in the hospital for a short period and was supposed to come out, and then there was a turn, and yeah.
Yeah, but there was a medical condition that kind of caused this death, correct?
Not really. She just stopped getting treated, sort of. Do you know what I mean? Like they stopped feeding her and everything. So.
But can you tell her something
Okay.
she might not know?
Right. I'm trying to tune in with okay. Your mother was ready to pass. She understands how difficult it was for you and your father and everyone in the family. And she just wants to let you know that she is fine on the other side. And what is she telling me? I believe you have children. Is that the case?
Yes.
And she's telling me that she misses her grandchildren. And that's the one thing she regrets on having to leave the earth plane. But she's also telling me that she's watching out over them. I believe you have a son. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. I feel your son is a fairly active child.
Yes.
Yes. And so your mother's telling me that she's looking after him and she's looking out for him. And she's staying, kind of in tune with what he's doing.
I have to say I'm the black sheep and didn't really look out for me too well. So I don't know.
Yeah, but you see, you have to understand that yeah, I'm the black sheep in my family too. But what happens is that when people pass over to the other side, they start to regret a lot of the things that happened on the earth plane. For example, and maybe that's why I didn't feel a closeness with your mother, is because you didn't feel that yourself. But when they pass over, they start to regret that. And so they'll start to pay attention to those of us on the earth plane, especially grandchildren. I mean, that was something that even though she may have had difficulties with you, grandparents really, really have a connection with the grandchildren in a different way than they have with their children. So,
Not mine, really. My sister's maybe, not mine. Too.
well, when she was alive.
Yeah, when she was alive, yeah. So
Yeah,
I'd
but
be surprised, honestly.
Okay, no,
But that's okay. One can only hope she learned a little, but yeah.
Yeah, well, but see, that's what happens. Lots of times they come back and they're coming back with apologies.
Do you have a question for your mother, maybe, Shannon, that Sue can mediumship to?
Mm.
If you do.
Not really.
Not really.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Yeah,
That's okay.
pretty
That's
fresh and not too happy. So
okay.
it was just in February. She passed the end of February.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see, that's pretty, dude. That's not another reason why she wasn't as strong. Um, yeah, because she's probably going through some kind of recuperation on the other side as well, because they do go through a stage with that. But I do feel that she didn't see her children as much, did she?
Probably not. Probably a reason for that.
Well, yeah, but again, the reasons go away when they get to the other side. So I do think she's paying attention to your children now. Whether you want to believe that or not, that's up to you.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
How do
Thank
you know
you.
that, Sue? How do you get that feeling? Is that what you're saying?
See, I got the feeling I did touch him. Her mother wasn't coming through strongly.
Mhm.
But I got, see, she told me that she had children. That's how I knew she had children.
Mhm.
It came from the mother.
That's how you knew Shannon had children.
That's right. Shannon had children, and that's how I knew that Shannon had a son, and that she had a son who was active. And so the mother in spirit is been watching her son and
Okay.
observing her son. So that's how I knew.
Should I ask Steve if he has anything? Do you mind, Sue? If I ask, I mean, I know it's your show.
You can ask Steve. Yes, go ahead.
Steve, what do you have to, let me unmute you. Wait, I'm unmuting you, Steve. Unmute, unmute, unmute. Now you have to unmute yourself there. Can you do that? Can you?
Yeah, there you go. Hey, hey. Did we lose? We
That's
lost.
Or maybe
We
no,
lost her.
she's still on. She just took her camera down. But go ahead.
Are you still there? What's her name?
Shannon. She's in-
Shannon.
she's in the-
Shannon. If you're still there, I thought you would. I did
She's
some
still there.
automatic writing
Yes, she
while
did.
you were getting your message from Sue, and I have to ask.
What
Eleanor, does
would you
Eleanor
do
have
that
any?
again, Steve?
The
Show,
name?
show what you got.
Just
I'm
it's
still
not-
here.
What is, I
Yeah.
can't see that. What does it say?
Well, it says different things. I go through it, but Shannon, and Eleanor, does that make any sense?
Not off the top of my
Or
head.
Otto? And Otto? No, okay. And
Sorry.
I'll just, what? No, that's okay. And an optometrist? Is anybody in your family an optometrist? These are the words that
No.
came through. This might not be for you, but if there's somebody else in this room. But I
It might-
also got a Baptist. Does a Baptist religion have anything for you to do? These are just, these are some things I wrote down. No, nothing. Baptist. Okay. And
Sorry.
no, that's okay. And the last one I just got was Harry. And those are the names that came through for me. But Eleanor came through very strongly. So I don't know if you have an Eleanor.
Well, maybe there's someone else in the room here who may.
Yeah, it might be. I mean, that's, but thanks, Shannon. Just wanted to bring
Thank
that up.
you. That's
Appreciate
okay.
it.
Thank
And
you.
Now talk about Sue and maybe Steve, since you're both doing this. Talk about what the impressions are and how do you know who that's for? Like you got some or Sue, you got some impressions there. How did you? They came through telepathically, but how do you make the associate? Like Steve got some, but he got it from somewhere. It was about
Right.
something. It just wasn't that target, but it was from
That's
something.
correct. Yeah, I mean, sometimes what happens is that people will get messages from spirit and they won't know exactly who has who they're for. So part of the challenge with mediumship is to figure out who the message is going to. So when some mediums work, like when I worked with Shannon, I was going to Shannon and I knew who I was going to. And then I tried to tap into her energies and
Mhm.
bring forth a family member for her that was in the spirit world. Steve was just tapping into energies and he does the automatic writing, which is the spirit part of it. but he didn't know exactly who it was directed toward.
And what was interesting, Sue, was when Stanley said in the meeting, it was kind of good when he said sometimes people on the other side don't have it in them to come across, and some
That's
people
correct.
do, right? So explain that a little bit, Sue.
Oh, sure. I mean, in fact, probably the best way that I can explain it is the fact that when a medium, like for example, when a Lilydale medium passes away, we usually hear from that person fairly quickly because they're familiar with the whole process. So when they get to the other side, they already know about it. However, there are people on the other side, they have to learn, just like we have to learn mediumship. They have to learn how to communicate from their world to ours. So some people can do it and some people can't. But I mean, also some people are not available, which is why you can't guarantee you could get someone on the other side because you don't know if they're really able to communicate or not.
And Alan, for me,
Yes.
and Sue, Sue, that for me, it's if I see people in a Zoom room or if I get the messages come through it helps me to see the people. You know what I mean? Even this Otto, and Eleanor, I got a very strong Eleanor impression. I'm sure somebody out there has an Eleanor. But if I don't see them, I can sometimes I actually see the energy form over somebody's shoulder. And
Yeah.
Sue knows a little bit more about the left and right shoulder thing. Explain the left and right shoulders, Sue, if you can. That's an interesting.
Well, there's two things that you're bringing up here, Steve. One of them is the fact that many mediums, when they've got a whole room of people and they're trying to figure out who to give a message to, they kind of see a light or a glow around that person. And so that will attract them to the person. But also sometimes it happens that when there's doing group mediumship, people will keep going to the same person because we say they're kind of hot. There's just something about them that everybody's being attracted to give them messages. When you're doing mediumship, for me, I do feel the link, and the links feel like a person standing next to me on the side. Some mediums will know that if people are standing on one side, it's the mother's side of the family, and on the other side, it's the father's side of the family. It all depends on how you work, and every medium's a little bit different.
If I was going to say, Sue, just to jump, I see the link. I'll see somebody behind, like right now, I actually see somebody behind Alan.
You do?
And
You see
yeah,
behind you?
I see, but I'm not going to go there, Alan, at the moment. But it's a vague form for me. Alan was asking about the mechanics, so you don't mind I talk a few minutes, Sue? So
No, but I mean, I have the same thing happen to me. Yes.
Yeah. And then it kind of becomes internalized. And me and Sue have talked a lot about the narrative, about creating a narrative that is usually false because you get these first impressions and that's the link. And then unless the link is strong, to use what Sue terminology, the link, when the link is strong, you can get more information. But sometimes it's just them coming through with some things and then disappearing, right, Sue? I mean, it's not
Yeah, I
about a
mean,
narrative, right?
no, it's usually not a narrative. And this is, I think, and this also makes a difference between a psychic and a medium. If a medium is truly working strongly with a link, the link is providing information. And when you get that information, you have to just say what it is. I mean, if you get an information like I see a globe, okay, I see a globe. I can't then say, oh, I see a globe, the world is spinning around you or you're spinning around it. I can't add that. I just can say, I see a globe. And then I wait for the next piece of information. And then they might say, the globe is in a classroom. Okay. It's a
Right.
globe in a classroom. So maybe that is then I can't say it's a teacher. I have to say, okay, what's the next piece, or the person, while they're saying this much, if they say yes to it, then you get another piece more quickly.
Well, why do we need those pieces, Sue? Like, why? What are we going for getting those pieces and this kind of link? Why do we need them?
Because those are the pieces of information that are coming from the spirit world.
the evidentiary information. Is that
Yeah.
kind of like, that's how I like to think. See, so when I just got Eleanor, I got that very strong and I feel the need to put it out there. Because if I don't put it out there, it's going to kind of go away. And
Glad to put it out there. I just also want to ask about what Stanley Krippner said today. He said there was something between arbitrariness and disaster. He said there's two things psychics get. They're either, important or meaningless, but they keep the mind working. Do you remember what he said? Well, how did he say that
I
again?
think he was talking about dreams, precognitive dreams.
So I was talking about precog, but the same thing here. We're picking up stuff all the time. Either it's relevant, but it also is meaningful on some level. I mean, it's not exactly
But
what
like, what's the filter? That's the idea. Like, what is the filter? Like, Sue, again, I've talked to Sue about this a lot. When we get this information, what is the filter that we don't create a false narrative? That's impressions that are floating around in our head.
That's
If I do-
correct.
If I do remote viewing, I'll go, wait a second, I was just thinking of the Eiffel Tower. So if I get a view of the Eiffel Tower, I have to second guess that. You know what I mean? And that's where it gets very tricky, because we have the
No, but you
mind.
don't second guess it. I mean, if you were doing remote viewing and you got a picture of the Eiffel Tower, you would just say, I see a picture of the Eiffel Tower.
But if I was thinking about the Eiffel Tower, or it had come up on a TV show maybe 10 minutes before, then I have to wonder if this is like this residual memory and not a true view. And this is some of the
Correct.
mediumship for me too, Sue. Like when I got Otto, I said, okay, Otto, and then I almost test myself. And there is an idea in ceremonial magic and all these things where when you meet a spirit in ceremonial magic, if you bring through a spirit, you test the spirit. You say, you want to know that it's a true spirit and it is who they say they are. So that in ceremonial magic, it's built that you test the spirit. Spiritualism, and we've talked
the
about how
same thing.
ceremonial.
It's the same thing.
How would you test?
What do you mean, how would you test? You ask them for evidence.
Evidence. Okay.
Well, I
Wait.
mean, it comes through as evidence. It comes through, sometimes it comes through in the way they're speaking, like somebody who knew the person in the earth, on the earth plane, will know that the speaking pattern that you're using is the same as the person used.
Yeah. Let me ask Tamara. We just also got Yenny on the line. Hi, Yenny. But Tamara's been here, and we'll get to you too, Yenny. Tamara,
Thank
do you
you.
want a reading from Sue?
Oh, sure. Sure.
And then maybe Steve will jump in,
Okay.
and maybe I'll jump in too. But yeah, go
What?
ahead. No, Sue, do you want to read Tamara?
Okay, I haven't tapped into Tamar
Okay.
yet. Let me do this. But Alan, I have to ask you a question. Is
Yes.
your mother in spirit?
No, but my father is.
Okay. Okay.
My grandmother. I was close with my grandmother. I think you might be picking up on my grandmother.
Okay, I was picking up earlier on a woman, and I usually don't like to do this. I was picking up on a woman who had a difficult life in many ways. So she couldn't do many of the things that she had really desired to do.
Yes.
It's your grandmother. Okay.
Yes.
And was your grandmother like a mother to you?
Yes, we were close. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. She was young. I mean, she was very young when I was born. I mean, she could have been my mother. But yes, exactly. But do you have I mean, it's great to pick up, but is there anything that can be communicated in that? Like anything she wants to say?
I'm trying to sense that.
Or maybe she's just around as a guide.
She's around. I feel that she didn't really know a lot about this stuff when she was alive, but I feel that she's very
Not at all.
interested.
Not at all.
Yeah, very interested in it now, and I feel that she would like to be in touch with you. Probably not at this moment, but at some other time, because I do feel that she loved you very, very much, and almost like her own child, she's telling me.
Yeah, that's You're onto something, Sue. Now you're tapped in.
You see, then I tap in because she's telling me that you are almost like her own child, and that she would take care of you as if you were.
Yeah,
Um,
that is true.
and that she would be concerned, do all those motherly kinds of concerns and
Yeah.
things. And
Yeah.
I not feeling why am I feeling there was a little distance with your mother? Or there was something?
Well, I don't think I mean, they had their own, my mother and grandmother,
Yeah.
but they were close, but I think maybe my mother felt closer to me in some ways. Because of like that grandparent thing you were saying to that other woman.
What it was? Okay. She just told me
What did she say?
your mother was sometimes jealous of the way your grandmother treated you.
Maybe I never thought of that, but that
Yeah,
could,
I mean, it wasn't like a big overt thing, but sometimes your grandmother would pay a lot of attention to you, and your mother thought sometimes she was acting a little too much like a mother to you.
that could be that
Yeah.
could be. Yeah, I
I'm
think
feeling that's what I'm feeling was the
now
distance
I
between
think you're
you and
much
them.
more tapped in than you were with that other woman because
Yeah, I am.
I think you warmed up. I think Steve helped warm you up.
No, it's because your grandmother is
It's
a much stronger
right,
person coming through. She's
stronger
probably
presence.
been in spirit much longer
Right.
than Shannon's mother was. Because Shannon's mother, when you're just that new in spirit, you
Right.
don't often come through that clearly.
That's true. That is true.
Okay. With Tamar, I'm feeling something on a father's side of your family.
Okay.
Yes, she's shaking her head. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling on your father's side of the family. Um, your father had brothers or sisters. There were other siblings there. Is that
Yeah.
correct? Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm feeling that there was a kind of a network of uncles and aunts on that side of the family. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not feeling it's as strong on your mother's side of the family. I'm feeling a stronger connection on your father's side. Um, I'm also feeling that on your father's side of the family, that professionalism and education was important.
Yes.
Yes. And I feel that those were things that they valued, so that they gave you a lot of help and support in you trying to reach the academic levels that you have. And I feel that they were very proud of it. And they're telling me something about that one of them or a couple of them came to your graduation.
A couple of people on my father's side.
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't remember. I'm not sure about that. Uh, it's so.
Or they had a celebration or something but I mean, they took note of the
Okay.
fact that you graduated.
I
That's
think so. Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what they're telling me, and that they were all very, very proud of you. And um, okay, I feel that sometimes when you do your research, that things are synchronous. I mean, all of a sudden, there's like you'll be thinking about an idea and you'll find the synchronous reference or answer to it.
Mhm.
Is that the case? I mean, I feel very much so. So I feel that it's members of your family that are trying to give you that support and
Yes.
help and intuitiveness to find the right. They said to find the right things at the right time,
Thank you. Yes.
and that they will continue to do this because I'm feeling you're working on a research project now. Either you're working on one now or you're about to work on something.
Working on it.
Yeah, and what you're working on now is probably more important than what you've done in the past.
I think so. Yes, very much so.
Yeah, so that's what they're telling me. They're telling me that this new project that you're doing is going to be, I don't want to say more prestigious, it's going to be noted. It's going to be referenced. That's what I say. Going to
So,
be referenced more. And people are going to pay attention to it more so than maybe some other things you've done.
thank you. That's
Okay.
good message.
Oh, great. Yeah, God
Alan,
bless you.
I just want to be, Alan, can I jump in for a second?
Yeah, well, it's Sue's program doing it,
Oh,
but
Sue, can I say something? Sue?
Make it quick.
Tama, does Otto or Eleanor come through for you at all? Are those names any relevance? No, okay.
we'll
No.
get someone who will
Yes,
answer.
well.
She was
Well,
there, she was there earlier. So,
We'll find it. Yeah, we'll find.
Find
Well,
it.
see, here's the other problem. If you have people listening to this as well, it
Yeah.
could be someone out there too,
Yes.
Yes,
because spirit has a strange way of trying to communicate messages to people. Sometimes they'll give a message to someone that is going to bump into someone else that the message is for.
Right. So someone out there listening probably has an Otto or an Eleanor because it's just floating around. But
Right.
anyway, you have a question, Tamar, for Sue, and then we'll go on to Yenny. But do you have
No,
anything?
I just want to say, I mean, I've experienced now Sue as a sort of as a teacher and speaker and resource, but not as a medium. So thanks very much.
Oh, you're welcome. I know. It was interesting that Stanley said one of his colleagues in Brazil was a medium and a researcher, and so am I. So it's it's an interesting combination.
There are
Right.
lots of them out there.
Thank you, Tom.
That too.
Okay, let's go to Yenny, who's a longtime listener of New Realities. Hi, Yenny. And
Hi, Ellen.
Hi.
nice to see what you look like. Thanks for joining us.
Sorry I'm late.
Good. Where are you calling us from?
South Jersey.
South Jersey, not far from where I am, but okay. Do you want a reading? Do you have a question?
Yes. I do have a question.
Okay.
A few weeks ago, I've been feeling like there's an earthbound entity that's been visiting me. And the reason why I know it's earthbound is because I went into meditation and started asking questions. Is it demonic? Is it my ancestor? Is it a spirit guide? And when I asked that it's earthbound, I immediately got the tingles. So that let me know it was earthbound. And I could smell cigarette smoke in my room.
Wow, that's
Yeah, so I have this strong odor of cigarette smoke.
wow.
So I ended up helping that spirit cross over, but lately he's back again. So I want to know, like, why is he attracted to me and what message he has for me?
Well, generally, spirits that are earthbound spirits are confused. They are not in a really good place in the spirit world. In fact, sometimes they don't even know they're dead.
Right.
So what we have to do is to keep them away from us is we just really, first of all, tell them to go away. And we ask spirit to only give us the highest and the best spirits. Now, they probably attracted to you because you can sense, you're an intuitive, you can sense and you can feel their presence. So
I can see them too. Like I see
Okay.
them.
All right. Yeah.
flashes
So
in my room.
okay, you can also see clairvoyantly. Okay, great. So that's what they're attracted to, is the fact that you can see them and notice them. But you, and Stanley mentioned this in his presentation too, you have to decide what kind of spirits you want to communicate with. And if you only want to communicate with positive spirits, then you have to tell the spirit world, please send the earthbound negative spirits away, or send them into the light, or wherever you want to. I bless them, but I only want the highest and the best to come around me.
Do you feel the spirit has some connection to you though, Yenny, or just
No, like, I don't know him. I don't know the
you don't feel
spirit.
like you knew him at all?
He
Maybe it's Otto.
needed help. he did
needed
need help because I asked if he needed help, and he needed help crossing over. So I did help him with Archangel Michael.
I
But
see.
now
But
he's back.
that's not how you cross them
Oh,
over.
I don't know.
How to cross people over.
Well, no, how you have to cross them over is that a friend, a relative of theirs who's passed has to find them and bring them across.
Well, can you do that, Sue? Can
Okay.
you help Yenny find a relative?
Well, it's a relative of the person.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, I would say ask the spirit world to have a relative come and get this
Mhm.
person, because this person is in a dark place
Okay.
and doesn't know they're dead, probably.
Did Steve, you
Yeah,
have-
just really quick, Yenny, if you
Yes.
think it's, you can also do a classical banishing, which is the LBPR, the lower banishing ritual, the pentagram, if you're familiar with that. And that's that's one of the basic building blocks of ceremonial magic. So if you think that you have some entity that you're not happy with, and the smoke also indicates a little bit of malign. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily. And just I'll just say, so look up the lower banishing ritual of the pentagram. There's YouTubes of it if you want to experiment with that. And I will need to ask, do you have a carry who's crossed over? And I'll leave
I
it
don't
alone.
know. I don't know any carry.
Maybe that's the name of the guy, though. But Sue, let me ask you if Yenny wants to find a relative. Can't you, as a medium, go into that world, or is that too murky, and get somebody related to the person and call them and say, we need some help on this side? I mean, is that too weird?
I usually stay away from earthbound entities. I usually don't communicate with them, but I mean, if I was feeling a presence like that, I would, ask the spirit world to please send someone, a friend or a relative who's passed, to come and help them go over to the other side. I mean, some people try to go into the light, but usually it's a relative that brings the person to the
Right.
next level.
But Yenny, do you have like another question for her that you might tap into?
The second question I have is my grandmother passed away like around late 90s, and I want to know if she's around me and she has any, I guess, messages for me, because I feel like she's a guide. She's like one of my spirit guides.
Right.
I feel she was very traditional in many ways. Is that true?
Yeah, she is traditional. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling she was traditional in many, many ways. And I'm also feeling that I feel you're Japanese, is that correct?
Vietnamese.
Oh, Vietnamese. Okay. Vietnamese. That in Vietnamese culture, there was a lot of belief in spirits. Is that correct?
Yeah, my grandmother was very superstitious, and she was Buddhist, so she does believe in the spirit realm.
Oh, okay. Yes, so that she is there. And I do believe that she does try to guide you, and that she is someone that helps you with your intuition and clairvoyance.
Okay.
And that I feel she had a lot of those characteristics as well.
Yes.
And so that part of this is the fact that you've inherited it from her.
Okay.
It runs
I know
in
she has
families.
premonitions.
Yeah. Well, these things run in families. So, yeah, you and sometimes it skips a generation, but you've gotten that from her, those abilities through her. So she is there to help you. Yeah, and very often family members who have had some kind of clairvoyant and spiritual backgrounds will help us.
Yeah, so that confirms what you were thinking, Yenny, that you're right. And that it's amazing you could see these spirits. So you definitely have a gift there.
It kind of freaks me out, Alan. When I'm
No,
home
don't say
alone, it
that.
freaks
It's
me
a
out.
It's a gift.
Okay, it's a gift, but Yenny, you can control it. Just remember
Okay.
this. You can control it. And if there's something you want or something you don't want, you can request it of the spirit world. You know, for example, there are people that spirit's waking me up in the middle of the night all the time. They're showing me this, they're showing me that. And you just have to really say, stop it. I don't want to be woken up in the middle of the night. And tell them firmly. And they have to abide by that.
Yeah, because we have free will.
Yes, we have free will, but they also can't. I say the spirit world is trying to work with us, not against us. And what happens a lot of times is that people start to get these skills and then they become so like enamored and so interested in the fact that they can do it that they don't realize that they're calling in whatever.
No, I don't want that to happen at all.
So then that's for that not to happen, then you say, I don't want that to happen. For example, when I first started doing mediumship, I said to Spirit, I said, Spirit, I always want to get a link. And that's what they do for me. They haven't given me names. I keep asking them for more names, but what I get is relationships usually. You know, I can usually look at somebody and say you have a father in spirit or a mother in spirit, or a brother or somebody.
Thank you. That was very good advice. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're very welcome.
Thanks for asking. Hang in there. We're going to go a little deeper. So Sue, tell us about the radio show that's coming up and what kind of gifts you're going to be sharing with the audience.
Well, just the types of things we were doing here. I mean, really, I will try to do mediumship for them. If it's a psychic question, I'll try to answer that as well. Because sometimes, you know, I just got a psychic question earlier today where somebody said, am I going to stay in my house or am I going to move? So I'll use my intuition and see how I feel about that situation and give them my read on it.
So when is the show on again?
Tuesdays at 7:00.
On and where would they find that?
Bold Brave Media.
boldbravemedia.com. And they tune into you live. Is it audio, video as well as audio? Or just
Yes, it's video and audio. And the other thing people can do is if they forget that, they can always go to my website. I have all this information posted on my website, which is www.spiritartgallery.net.
Spirit Art Gallery. Yeah, I like your art too, because I think that's another way of mediumship where, like Hilma af Klint, you know, she would bring through the spirits in her art. And I think you do that really well. Like that picture to the, is that the left of you there is like pure, a spirit coming through there, right? In that, can you?
Which one? Is it the?
Yeah, to your right. Is that your right? Yeah, that one. Yes, yes.
Yeah, that was done live at the Stump at Lilydale. So yes, there is spirit coming through that particular.
Show us, Sue. Can you pick it up? Can we see it?
Can we see it?
I can't pick it up. It's too heavy. See, turn the camera.
Okay. And that was something that came through to you?
Yeah.
It's a kind of light being, is that?
Yeah, it's a light being coming through the sun. Like I could see the sun and then I could see beings coming down into the leaves and the trees. And, you know, there's kind of, you know, at the Stump, it's a very magical kind of place where spirit entities live.
Well, there might be people watching who don't know what Lilydale is. Can you just give us a kind of overview of like what a strange place that is?
Yes, it is a strange place. Lilydale was founded in the late 1800s as the Free Thinkers Association. It was taken over by spiritualists, and it is one of the largest spiritualist communities in the world. And so we have regular spiritualist church services. We have mediums on the grounds that give readings, private readings and public readings. And we have all kinds of events that relate to mediumship and what should I say? It's not just mediumship, but mediumship and spiritual kinds of topics.
So the whole
What's-
town basically is one big spiritual mediumship sort of community.
Yeah, well, you have to understand that the grounds of Lilydale are actually an island.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's actually like this little island, and all the houses are very, very close together because before there were houses built, people used to go there and camp. They
Mm.
used to take the train from New York City up to Lilydale. There was a station right at Lilydale, and they would come and camp for the summer.
Yeah.
And they would have all kinds of events and workshops.
But
And
Sue, for the summer, this summer, explain what's going on this summer because of the
Yeah.
virus.
well, this summer, what's very interesting about this summer is that, and they haven't figured it out, I have, is that because of the virus, all of the workshops are being done online. So now people from all over can experience the types of things that we're doing at Lilydale. I'm doing a special series on Thursdays at 7 o'clock called Spiritualism Today, where I'm going to be dealing with all kinds of different topics, historical topics, contemporary research on the afterlife, physical mediumship, UFOs, all kinds of different things that in one way or another relate to spiritualism.
Right. In the past, people could go to Lilydale and get like maybe 50 readings from all the different psychics and mediums that live there, right? I mean,
Well, if they wanted to pay for it, yeah. I mean, what they're still going to be doing, their Monday night's going to be limited where they do, it's going to be $20 for a 10-minute reading. We are going to be doing the outdoor public readings where you may or may not get a message at 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock at the stump every day. The stump is an old tree stump that the mediums used to stand upon and give messages to the audience members. Now you can't stand on it, but it's still there, and the mediums stand in front of it and give messages to people in the audience.
is it like
Alan,
a-
I need to say that Sue's really a great resource for spiritualism. She's really helped me develop my mediumship and the classes, and she, the idea of paying is a tricky subject. And I think Sue, you know how cynical I am, everybody. Sue has a pretty good take on it that I can actually get behind. So I'm very happy about that. So Sue's really helped me out, and her classes are great if anybody's looking for them. And again, are they all on Spirit Art Gallery, Sue? Your Zoom classes?
My personal Zoom classes that are free, that I do through AREI, are on my website.
They're
That
listed there because I never
information's
looked
there.
for them there. Okay.
Yeah, they're there.
you
And
someone like Yenny, who's very open right now, and teach her how to actually become a medium, right? Not that.
yes, yeah. Here's what I do. In my classes, I work with people at all levels, and then I will just work with them individually on their level. You know, for example, in Yenny's case, we might start with intuition. You know, what impressions and feelings is she getting? And then we would move on to see if she can get a link with the spirit entity, spirit person.
Right. So,
If she gets nothing, that's fine too.
right. But she's talented. She'll get something.
Yeah, she seems to be.
Everyone can play the piano, but not everyone can play the piano well.
That's
So-
right. That's right. But the other thing is I also have the spirit art class, which I am doing an intensive 3-hour spirit art class, which is Lilydale. And Lilydale has reduced all of their workshop fees because it's all online, which is good.
But you have a free Spirit Art
I
class.
have a free
on
spirit art
Tuesdays.
class on 2 Tuesdays a month, and anybody can come and join me.
You know, I really like this conversation. And the one thing, since you're a kind of metaphysical researcher, Sue, could you talk about the levels of existence? So Yenny met a disincarnate, was maybe not at a high level, but, you know, talk about the levels of from incarnate to disincarnate to masters to, you know, ascended. Can you give us a kind of
Well,
overview?
there are, you know, there's lots of what the normal thing is, they say there's 7 levels. I can't tell you exactly which level an ascended master is on everything, but there's a hierarchy too in the spirit world. What in spiritualism we look at is there are people in the spirit world, or spirits in the spirit world, that were incarnated, that lived as people on the earth plane at one time or another. There are spirits in the spirit world that never lived on the earth plane. For example, angels have never lived on the earth plane. You can probably progress to an ascended master, which is what you want to do in your spiritual progression. Whether or not they've lived on the earth plane or not would probably depend on the individual master. You can't say for sure it's this way or that way, because everything's possible in this world. But when people do their channeling, they usually are trying to channel some kind of higher spiritual being so that they are getting knowledge from the other side. When we're doing mediumship, we're really channeling just your everyday relative, who also could have some spiritual messages from the other side, but usually they're more personal messages.
Right.
Then you get people in between.
So, just curious, because Paracelsus and Rudolf Steiner, they were dealing with elementals, you know, earth spirits, water spirits.
Those
fire
are
spirits?
different. Those are
Explain
different
if you can.
spirits.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Those are on the earth plane, the elementals and the fairies. I mean, I have seen fairies. We have fairies here in Lilydale. I mean, but they're associated with the earth, and are on the earth level. But
What
they're,
information do they have, or what can they give us in your cosmology?
I don't know. You know, it's a very interesting question, Steve, because I mean, other than, what is it? I haven't heard of people really fairies giving knowledge. I mean, mostly what I've heard about them is the fact that they're demonstrating, like physical mediumship, the fact that there are things that we don't know, that there are things out there that are beyond our understanding.
No, I think fairies can give knowledge. I think they gave it to Schallenberg about the water matrices and how to charge water. I think
Okay.
a certain
I'm
element.
not saying they can't. I just don't. I just haven't, in my experience, I haven't come across
And it's
much.
qualitatively different, really. You know, it's such a different quality of information. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, we have a human consciousness, and we're channeling usually departed people in spiritualism, and this elemental stuff is a different order of intelligence, qualitatively. So
It would,
it's tricky.
yeah, it would make sense that that knowledge and information would have more to do with earthly things.
Right. I wanted to ask Iris, she was just here, if she has a question. Iris, you want to come back and give anything you want to ask Sue here?
Sorry, I have a lot of noise.
You have a lot of noise. You have a question?
Yeah.
You have a question?
No, thanks. No,
No
not for
question.
the moment. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. So Sue, I've heard the only way for spirits to really evolve is to incarnate as humans. Is that true?
No, well, I mean, no. I mean, we incarnate, we have a life, we live it, and then when we pass, we can continue to do our spiritual growth and development. It
But
doesn't
it's an
just
acceleration
end.
here, isn't it? Doesn't this just fast track you?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, I think that's what people say, and spiritualism's funny about reincarnation. They don't wholeheartedly endorse it because they don't think that it's, quote, evidential. However, there have been a number of scientists that now have found evidential past life experiences. So
Yes.
we can't say it isn't. So, I mean, it's like,
Stevenson has done years of research on that. Ian
yeah. So it's like people say that, you come to the earth with a purpose. You're trying to learn a lesson that you didn't learn in your last life. So you're given an opportunity to rework it and work on your spiritualism and your, I would say, attitudes and philosophies about life on the earth plane. And so, yes, it's easier to do it on this plane, although it still does continue on the next, because we know that some of the people, when you go to the other side, they are still learning, they are still studying, they are still doing things.
But there's something about being in body, I think there, the lessons maybe are more obvious or more intense, let's say.
Yeah, yes, I can agree with that. Yeah, there's that. Doing things on the earth plane is more concrete.
Yeah. So in these upcoming shows that you're going to be doing, that's Tuesday nights, right? You said, just to remind people.
Yes, Tuesdays at 7:00.
On the radio station was the
Bold Brave Media.
Bold Brave Me. So you'll be taking questions like this about spirituality.
Absolutely.
And about.
And if somebody has an issue they need some spiritual support with, I would be very happy to help them.
And it's
you
free,
also
Sue, huh?
do- What's that?
It's free on the
It's
radio
free.
show?
It's a free radio show.
That's
Yeah,
great.
it doesn't charge you any money.
Right. And you'll also be doing mediumship. Like we've done that a few times on the show.
Yes. I probably won't be doing too much trance mediumship, but general mediumship,
Someone like Yenny could really do some trance mediumship because she's so open, right?
I don't know. I'd have to feel her energy more. She's saying no. I mean, part of it would be her aura too.
Her crown chakra, it's already activated right there.
Alan, I'm too scared. I don't want to do it.
Some high. No, you don't have to. I'm not saying you have to do that, but I'm saying you're already open, and you. I think you've already met some of the lower levels. Now it's only higher levels that you could get.
Yeah,
to.
she has to, and as Stanley said too, the intent is so important. And even in my book, I'll plug my book.
Yeah, plug your book, of course.
Unfolding Physical Mediumship, which I think I want to send a copy of to Stanley, because in this I stress that you really have to have a strong spiritual foundation. If you don't have a strong spiritual foundation, then you can open yourself up to all of these strange elements that are floating around us. Yeah. So you really want to make sure that you're on a higher level.
Yeah. Steve, you had a question? Steve, did you have a question?
Yeah. Sue, just because if people don't know, I know that you're a mental medium, but you're also doing physical mediumship now, or experimenting more with physical mediumship. Did I just get unstable?
What does, I think that's what Steve was saying. What's physical mediumship as opposed to mental mediumship?
Very good question.
Thanks.
Physical mediumship was much more popular in the 1800s, and people would get around. That's when you see the pictures of some people sitting around the tables holding hands. Physical mediumship is when you actually get objects to move and physical things to happen, like the knockings and the rappings that the Fox sisters got, and the Davenport brothers also had it.
Have you actually experienced that, Sue? Physical mediumship?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Sue's practicing physical mediumship now. She has a cabinet in her house.
Yeah.
And I find it really interesting. And explain about apports, Sue, too, if you don't mind.
Explain airport, but also what's a cabinet for?
Okay, the cabinet is to try to consolidate the energy, is to try to get the spiritual energy to be a little more concentrated. And some mediums use that so they could make this substance called ectoplasma. The most unique physical mediums would create this substance called ectoplasma, which would come out of all the different openings in their body, and it would become like a pool of it's slimy, a substance that's a pool that would go out into the room, and then it would build and create images of deceased loved ones.
Have you seen that, Sue?
No, that I have not seen, but I have seen the Davenport brothers were famous for doing something called spectral arms, which is that these arms would come out of the cabinet. And I have seen spectral arms, and one arm came and touched my hand and gave me the feeling of a loved one. And the hand, oh my God, was all filled with ectoplasma.
Who was
So
that medium?
Physical or etheric, though?
well, I mean, my hand was covered with ectoplasm when I left.
What were you saying, Steve? What were you saying?
Who was the medium, Sue?
Gary Mannion.
And what do you think of Gary Mannion?
Gary has been controversial because they did catch him, as they allegedly said, they caught him at fraud at Banyan. But I have to say that his mediumship, I've seen things with his mediumship that I haven't seen with the other ones.
Right. Someone has a question online about earth angels. Have you heard about that? What are earth angels?
Well, we have angels. There are angels, they're celestial beings. They are around us. Some people contact and communicate with the angels and make that a focus of their mediumship and what they're doing. So they're here, they're around us, they exist.
Right. All right. Now, okay, that's okay. So they're here on planet Earth, these angels. So would you say, it seems to me what you're the physical realm, let's say, is the simplest there is. It's the least complicated. And beyond this, there's levels and levels and dimensions and interdimension. And most people just think it's just, this is all there is. So
Correct.
part of your work is telling us there's so much more to reality. And that's really why I have you on the show, because it's about new realities. I personally think this spiritualists, some of them haven't caught up with what became the new age and the light and the ascension, right?
Yeah, I agree with you, Alan. I think that that's very true. I think, but it's kind of a two-way street too, because what happened was that a lot of people got into new age ideas and didn't pay attention to any of the spiritualist stuff, so that they created their own thing. So, you know, like channeling is a new age concept, not a spiritualist concept. Where do the two come together? That's something I'm trying to figure out. They are similar, but they're different. And it's like the two groups don't talk to each other, and
Right.
there aren't people that try to figure it out or
Well,
put them together.
A little bit occult, like Steve's sort of into that a bit. The dark, you know, the occult arts, which were kind of late 1800s, and
Yeah.
then it started to change with Alice Bailey and the Lucis Trust and all that, until like Edgar Casey was different. And then we came into the 60s with like, and 70s with Seth and the New Age of Aquarius. So I think that was a kind of transition from Piscean spirituality to Aquarian spirituality. That's how I see it.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's different levels of the cultural spirituality, which has shifted. I mean, but spiritualism is, from many people's point of view, considered to be an occult area.
And spiritualism predates most of those things you're talking about, Alan. Remember, spiritualism started in 1847, right?
That's
Right.
right.
When
It
was it?
does-
48.
Yes,
1848.
spiritualism was the
It
first.
predates the occult revival that happened in the late
Oh, but it
1800s.
was part of the occult revival too. This,
Very much, yes.
right. Oh, I have an update on the question about earth angels. I mean, angels that look like people. Have you heard about that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I've heard about that. Well, I would say to you that the earth angels, and this has happened to people that I know, it's like you'll see somebody and you'll talk to them, you'll turn away and they'll be gone. There also, I've had people who have had voices, heard voices, real voices talking to them, and no one's been there. So, yes, so these
In a
are,
time of need, if someone's stuck and sometimes some stranger just appears out of nowhere and then you look around, they help you and then they're gone. I think
right.
that,
And then you can't find them to thank them, you know, that type of a thing. Yes.
yes.
And there are, and the better one is that when somebody's driving a car, they'll either delay them, like by stopping the engine so that they'll miss a car accident,
Hmm.
or if they are in an accident, they'll do something so the person isn't injured as badly.
Right. So these beings are watching over us all the time, you would say.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that, as you said, Alan, there are many different levels of existence.
Right.
You know, that's why I'm talking about UFOs and spiritualism, because there is a history there.
Right. I also want to go back to what Steve was just saying about the occult and spiritualists, and people don't know, but upstate New York, where Lily Dale is, was called the Burnt Over District, where Joseph Smith found the Mormon tablets and
And even Seth was up there, right?
that's
Just
right,
as a later phenomena, Seth.
Elmira, yes. But besides that,
Yes, he was, because I met somebody who worked with that, with Jane Roberts. Yeah.
right. So that whole upstate area also had other spiritualists. I mean, Blavatsky even went upstate with Alcott to start the Theosophical Foundation. It kind of came out of that meeting that happened.
Well, she was a spiritualist before she started the Theosophy.
Right.
And she did a lot of things that were similar to spiritualism. For example, she did precipitated paintings, and she did mediumship, and she did all those types of things. But what she did that was different was she brought the Eastern philosophies and Eastern ideas
Right.
into it.
No, I think Blavatsky holds a very important place in bridging the East and West spirituality and bringing, in a sense, Eastern spirituality to the West. Of course, Yogananda was around. I mean, the whole influx of Eastern teachers started to arrive in the early 1900s. I have another question, and then we could sort of wrap it up if you want. Do you know Leslie Flint, direct voice medium in the UK?
Yes.
Who are they? Who is Leslie Flint?
Leslie Flint was probably the most well-known direct voice medium.
What does that mean, direct voice medium?
What is a direct voice medium? A direct voice medium is a form of physical mediumship where the spirit creates a voice box through the ectoplasma. And with this voice box, you can hear the voice of your loved ones. So it's not the voice of the medium, it's actually the voice coming through of your loved one.
Where's
And
it?
Sue, Alan, hold on. Leslie Flint is on that. Isn't she on that occult Stimmen set?
I don't
No, you got a different Leslie.
Okay.
Leslie Flint was a male, and there are many recordings that are available online of his work.
Recordings online. But how does ectoplasm create a voice box? That doesn't make sense.
Well, you have to realize it's like clay. It's a substance that can be whatever it wants to.
Wait, so it creates an actual, and then it's separate from the medium and the voice?
Usually it is. Usually it's on the side of the neck of the medium.
That is so weird. Have you ever seen that? I'd never
I
heard.
haven't, I mean, the room was dark, so I didn't see the voice box, but I did have an experience of direct voice mediumship, the voice of my father coming through a medium.
Really, it sounded just like your father.
I mean, not just, but it was very close. Yeah.
That's pretty
I mean,
amazing.
it wasn't the medium's voice.
Right.
And my father had a throat issue, so he had problems talking, and that all came through in the mediumship.
Which medium was that, Sue?
Scott Milligan.
Wow. So there are more things in heaven and earth than we're dreamt of in most people's philosophies, right? I mean, that's it. Well, Sue, you are a wealth of medium information, spiritual information. I think your program's going to be very, very successful.
I
And
hope so.
I think it is worth people tuning into, because this is a history, as Steve knows, that people don't realize what was, and you know, Sue, was so influential in the art world. Even in physics, it was influential. The earliest formations of the atom were drawn by Annie Besant and Leadbeater. I mean, so this movement that has been totally sort of a history.
The history of all the spiritualist stuff has been wiped out, and that's what I'm documenting in my new book on art.
What is your book on art about? I mean, in what sense?
My book is about art, mediumship, and creative dissociation.
Right. I mean, it was a huge influence on the abstract artists that came through, even.
Absolutely. And then what happened was the spiritualist stuff was a huge influence, and then it shifted into psychology. But what people don't realize is that many of the psychologists were studying mediums.
Well, William James, particularly, who's the father of American psychology, was
Yes.
Started the Psychical Society in Boston, and then it moved
Yeah.
to New York. I mean, he was a huge spiritualist.
Yes, he was. James was very, very important. Jung was very much a spiritualist, influenced Flournoy with his, was it From India to Mars book is a classic. And there's a whole list of other, Genet was another one, of psychologists that were studying mediums, because they thought that by studying the mediums who were doing the dissociative types of experiences, they could better understand the human mind.
And I think they're right, because the human mind, even in those early days, they thought the unconscious was connected to spirit. And they were right about that there's this spirit. And now we don't think, well, except if you're a Jungian, think that the unconscious is part of some greater body of.
Yeah, the collective, I mean, his term for the collective unconscious was a way that he could couch ideas of universal spirituality in a psychological, scientific framework.
Right, but the universal spirituality transcends psychology. And actually, I think psychology has been great, but it's also done us a disservice to stop. It made us stop trusting our minds. So if you get, or like if in Yenny's case or someone else, you see something, you question, do you see it? But you really do see it. You really do smell cigarette smoke. There's no way of denying that. And psychology has made us distrust our own
Well,
awareness.
that's why someone like Stanley is so important, really, because it's this transpersonal psychology. It's kind of dragging it back into that area where, I don't know. Sue, explain Stanley maybe just for a second.
Yeah, talk about Stanley, because he's he's still alive. He's 89. He just gave us he's tell us who Stanley Krippner.
I mean, Stanley is probably the leading foremost parapsychologist in the world. I mean, his work is momentous. I mean, he has written more books and co-authored more articles with people than imaginable.
He's kind of end-rounded the psychological mainstream in a way to bring this spiritual paranormal back into the academic discussion as much
Yeah.
as possible, right? I mean, which is
Well, he's a
one of the
scientist
problems.
too,
Well,
Stan.
I would say that, I mean, because Stanley has always taken a scientific approach to the type of research he does. I mean, he looks at trance mediumship from a neurobiological perspective. I mean, so he gives it credibility. But on the other hand, it's credible, but he also he researches trance mediums, you know, and looks at that phenomena.
No, and we need that academic approach if it's going to be really brought into a mainstream. And I think it is coming back.
It is. No, it is coming back. And I mean, I think the art world is a perfect example of it because starting, well, 1986, well, there was a big art show in LA
Right.
on the
Yes,
spiritual art.
Yes, that was
And
the,
that was kind of the pivotal time of it, but it was also this scholar Sextede Ringborn who also started looking at the work of Kandinsky and its spirituality. So I mean, they started bringing it back little by little, but it wasn't really until the turn of the year 2000 that it's really built momentum up and everybody's doing it. And the museum in Milwaukee is now doing a show on putting spiritualism into the American history. That's been taken out.
it's very important to reactivate spiritualism as a really important resource. And we, it's been so washed over, the value of spiritualism, that I think, the understanding how important it was for art and intellectual pursuit and all that.
Psychology.
What was that?
Very important for psychology.
Psychology, yes. And music and art, yes.
Yep.
And plus, it gives us another aspect of our own minds. I think that's why parapsychology and spirituality is so important, because we get to embody the totality of the human vehicle. And that's really what this time of evolution is about.
That's correct. That's correct. And I mean, it's like even what Yenny was saying, she can see spirit. That's seeing clairvoyantly. You can develop that skill.
Yes, yes. Thanks, Yenny, for all your input. Yes, yes. So Sue, okay, we'll wrap up here. Thanks for your time, Sue. One more, just to promote your radio show one more time, tell people where to find you. Tuesday nights.
Tuesday nights on boldbravemedia.com.
What time?
7 o'clock on Tuesday nights. And you can also find this information on my website, which is www.spiritartgallery.net. And my website also has my classes.
Great. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Yenny. Thank you.
Thanks,
everyone.
Alan. Thanks, Sue. That was really good. I like
And
it.
Thanks.
And
You're-
Mrs. Betty saying thank you and good night.
Oh, bye,
and thank
Betty.
you very much,
Good night,
Sue.
Betty.
Thank you, Betty.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thanks for being an historian and keeping track of this and bringing this human potential back into the world. So I appreciate that. And
Really great. See you later. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
good.
Okay.
Alan
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Steinfeld for New Realities. Thank you for tuning in, and catch some upcoming live stream shows. Thank you all for watching, and talk to you soon. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.